Welcome to My Story Matters. I don't even know what week it is, but we're almost done with school, so it's lit. Today on the podcast, My Story Matters, we have
Aeri Corral.
Yes.
And Adriana Portillo.
Let's go. Aeri, let's start with you. What is your story? Let's start off with that.
I would say when I think about kind of how the Lord has worked in my life, it's definitely been super evident, I would say, like the Lord's faithfulness over just my family and like our generations. I look at my parents and my grandparents, and I feel like growing up they really raised us the best way they could. And so growing up in the church, like I had a good foundation of just at least knowing truth and knowing the Lord. I feel like even growing up in a big family, 5 siblings, I'm the third oldest of 6. We always knew like Jesus was the way, truth, and life. So I feel like that really...
And you never really doubted that?
No, never really doubted that. I feel like growing up, even in high school, like you have to learn what that actually means and like who Jesus truly is. But I feel like there's always that foundation of like, yes, like he's here, he's present.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's largely due to how my grandparents and parents lived out their lives. I feel like oftentimes, you see people that claim they're Christian, and so how they live out their lives really impacts you.
Yeah.
Are they really following the Lord, or is it just here and there, or when things are good, or when things are bad? So seeing that growing up really changed my life. But
what exactly did you see? Because like, I like how you brought up your grandparents as an example, but like what specifically? If you can think of it?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I feel like we went through a lot as a family, just dealing with death and loss. And I feel like in those times it's really easy and of course normal to just get super low and kind of like sit in the darkness and sit in all the feelings. And sometimes you can even allow that to like pull your family apart. But I feel like I always saw my grandparents go into prayer, bring in the family together and say, this is what we're believing. And they were super bold. So they would just be like, you know what, this is the report we got, but we're just pleading the blood. And even if I didn't know to the extent what that meant, I was like, yes, like, okay. Like, the blood, like,
yeah, like you didn't even have to understand it. You just
and I would just see them anytime good or bad something came up, they would speak the word first. And so just hearing how they talked and how they lived their lives and with so much integrity, it was like catching on. I was like, okay, that's how you're supposed to live.
Yeah.
Like, not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And kind of just, like, not ashamed. And even with my parents as well, I would say just, like, little things they would do to, like, instill these principles into us and just, like, the power of prayer. Even to this day, like, I wake up, like, and I just think of, like, certain things my mom has said to me or, like, how to go into prayer over certain things that happen throughout the days. And, like, not everyone experiences that, but I'm thankful from a young age I knew that there was God in every moment.
So you brought up your grandparents. You brought up your parents. You never said where you grew up or like how.
Oh yeah.
And so where did you grow up and how many siblings do you have?
I grew up in Anaheim Hills, and then we moved to Corona when I was like 7. So I've been there since. So i.e. gang. But I have 2 older brothers and 3 younger sisters. So I'm the oldest girl, and that definitely does something growing up with 2 older brothers.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
My little sister has 3 older brothers.
It's crazy. I'm sure she's well protected.
Yes.
But it's been fun. You have your own little squad.
Yeah. Okay, so was there any, like, significant points in your story that, like, you would want to share that would maybe encourage other people?
Yeah, I would say for those that were raised in the church, I feel like I was born and raised in the church, but even knowing the foundation of truth, you still have to pursue the Lord intentionally, and there's always going to be a moment that marks you where you have to make the choices for yourself. I think the last couple years of high school it was where I was like, you know what, like, I don't want to just lean on my parents or my grandparents' faith. Like, I want to know the Lord personally. obviously it takes a lot of intentionality and you have to give up a lot of things. But I think coming to college really transformed my life. Even knowing the Lord from an early age, coming here, I felt like I met him personally. Mm-hmm. And it just allowed for greater intimacy because when you grow up in the church, you become familiar and sometimes even passive or apathetic to the things of God. Yeah, but I think coming here, I felt like a flame reignited. And the gospel wasn't just something I knew. It wasn't just, oh yeah, I know John 3:16, like, yay, thanks Lord that you died for my sins. I feel like the Lord really opened my eyes to like what that actually meant. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like he just like took me through like memory lane of like, oh, he was actually there in this moment, this moment, this moment. And I kind of just saw like all the bits of my life, my family's life that he's restored. But definitely coming here, I'm graduating in May, literally in a month. And it's just crazy seeing what the Lord has done the last 4 years, whether it's on my softball team, through my own life, and just through my family's life back home. I feel like before I came here, I knew God is just like, yes, he's the way, the truth, and the life, and I knew Jesus. But I feel like leaving here, I'm like confident I know him as friend and as father.
Yeah, that's definitely deep and powerful.
Yeah.
And not something that maybe a lot of people will understand until like later on.
Yeah.
How has your softball career been?
Ooh. That's a great question. If you looked at it now, it would be horrible. That's like...
well, more so, wait, let me rephrase this question. Okay, so...
No, I get you.
Well, I also want to like kind of touch on like just the fact that I don't even know how. I just see how close the softball team is with each other. And it's so crazy because no other team, I feel like, is like that.
No.
And I guess, like, how has that also impacted, you know?
Yeah, that's a whole story, which is amazing because if you knew my freshman year, our culture was not like that. I feel like a big part of my story was like the Lord calling me here. And I realized like the softball field and my team was like, this is my mission field. Like we can go to states, countries, and all these different places. But I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on these people here. My freshman year was really tough. Yeah. There is a different coaching staff, different culture. And I think coming into it, I was like, these people don't really, like, want the Lord. Like, I'm just going to stay in my own lane. I actually wouldn't eat with, like, my teammates or, like, I wouldn't spend any extra time with them outside of the field if I didn't have to, just because I knew who I wanted to surround myself with.
Yeah.
And then I really felt going into sophomore year, the summer before, the Lord just softening my heart for my teammates and actually pursuing them how he sees them. And so going into my sophomore year, I was like, okay, like, I really want to pour into my teammates. Like, no one is too far gone. Yeah. Like, this is the mission field. And so if I can pour into my teammates and one person knows the Lord, like, that's what I'm here for. Yeah. And even at that time, like, playing time and stats and all that always has been up and down. Never something that I've just put my identity in, which I had to learn because struggles definitely came mentally and physically.
I mean, you're an athlete. You want to compete.
Yes.
That makes sense.
The nature is always there.
Yeah. But continue. But real quick also, I wanted to ask you, were you praying for them, like, before that summer?
Yeah. So actually it was crazy. I went to Circuit Riders, and I remember someone, I went there consistently, like, my sophomore year, but one night this lady was praying with me, and she was like, what are you believing for? And I had honestly forgot what I said to her. I think it was maybe something about my team. And then she responded in prayer, and she's like, in the prayer, she was like, I believe, like, by Aeri's senior year, the whole softball team will know Christ. And I remember thinking that moment, like, my whole team, like, that's a lot of girls. Like, and at that time, it felt like no one wanted to pursue the Lord. And I was like, dang, that's like a big prayer. And I was like,
Yeah.
why not believe that? Like, why not press in and see what the Lord does? So sophomore year was super intentional with just the people. And I feel like it just started with seeds being planted, and then like little by little people, and then obviously like with chapel and all these events on campus, a lot of my teammates ended up wanting to know more of the Lord. And
okay,
so
you just skipped a whole lot. Hold on a second. Now. You just went from like 0 to like, okay, now all these people want to know Christ.
it kind of felt like that though.
Oh.
Like,
But like, how did it happen? So, okay. So you were praying, which obviously I think that I asked that question because usually what happens is when you pray for somebody, your heart softens for them. And when you said that, I was like, oh, she was probably praying for them.
yeah.
And so I was right. You were praying for them, and then you planted seeds. What did that look like?
I think just having conversations one-on-one. I think I remember going to sophomore year, I was like, I want to get coffee with as many teammates as possible one-on-one and actually learning their story. And I think part of it was like, I'm not going to bend my character or my way, even if the vast majority on my team is kind of like living a different way. And so planting seeds kind of just looked like calling the people around me that I was close enough with higher and being like, hey, like, you're better than that.
Dang.
Or just like,
Dang.
this is what the word says, actually. Like, you don't have to do that.
Dang.
And little by little, I feel like we all started believing it. Like, wait, there's a better way.
That's fire.
And we're all longing for something. And so I would just meet someone where they're at. Obviously, the biggest thing, though, is like, looking back, I learned so much more from my teammates, like, by their story and, like, knowing the Lord as well. So it wasn't just, like, I was pouring into my teammates. It was like, wait, they're showing me, like, the tenderness and the nearness of God as well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I would say, yeah. I think it started with a couple people, like, just transforming their life. And then little by little, we had a coaching change. And so as a whole, our culture shifted. And so there was more intention of Bible studies as a team bonding. And then my sophomore year is really the rebuilding year of culture. And we made it a focus of, like, let's keep Christ the center.
Yeah.
And it's crazy looking back because it seemed like it was all happening so fast. But that's how the Lord was meeting people. And just some gnarly testimonies from teammates like Noni, KD, Tiff, just to name a few. And then, honestly, like, my sophomore and junior year, coincidence not, but that was, like, our most successful years. Just because we were so tight-knitted. And we would always spend time going to Sticker Riders together, greenhouse, chapel, praying together, or just, like, there was a time where I would go to the team locker room, like, before in the morning and just, like, pray over, like, the locker room and over teammates. But, yeah, I was
That's so cool because this is bad, but I remember, like, I would go to CR or I'd go to greenhouse and I'd see softball players. I'd be like, whoa.
like, what are they doing?
Like, it's kind of bad to say, but
That's how it was. That's how it was.
That's how it was. But honestly, I'd like to say, like, true characteristics of a leader right there, not bending your character for, you know, the vast majority, which is very difficult to do. Very difficult. But thanks for sharing that.
I love my team now, and now it's crazy. I wouldn't eat with them freshman year, and now, like, I hang out with them every day. We love spending time together outside of the field, which is crazy.
Super cool. Cool. Well, if you don't have anything else to add, then we can just move on to Adrian.
I would say one more thing. I would say for athletes and any leader on your team, I feel like it's easy to get wrapped up in 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I feel like it's the greatest space to influence people. You're with them every day, and if you could be bold in one area, it would just be your walk with the Lord. So,
Facts.
Raising up spiritual leaders on teams is great.
Facts. Amen. Yeah, I'd like to say I tried to do that too when I was in high school, and I failed.
Yeah. Well, it's tough because the environment, like.
Yeah, your environment around you totally, like, affects
Mm-hmm.
so much of you. So that's why doing that is like incredibly hard.
Yeah.
You need the Lord.
Definitely.
Definitely. Well, thank you again.